And what year is this that we've been here? 15th year. Wow. And I'll tell you, this is sort of true, but it feels like I'm saying the same thing over and over and over and over and over. And yet, learning and learning and learning and learning and learning. So if it seems like I'm saying the same thing over and over, I probably said something similar. But remember, like the reason I keep harping on the stuff that I harp about, it's sort of fun to say harp. Is because this is the stuff that I think is significant to keep hammering on. There's so many things to be talking about, but the many things to be talking about will make more sense the clearer you are on the fundamental ideas. And so what I try to do is just keep hammering on the fundamental ideas, and then you spin off to details and complexities, but they make sense because they're just elaborations of the fundamental ideas. Okay, so my interest always is just to get clearer and clearer on the fundamental ideas. Because if you do that, then the complexities start making sense. And you're not confused. And it's not easy to get clear on the fundamentals, but it's fun. You know, it's like, the stuff that we've been harping on seems significant. I'm totally in learning mode. It feels like I'm in better learning mode than ever. And it's fun to be in learning mode. Part of being in learning mode means that being in learning mode means that, you know, you're getting clearer and clearer that how little you actually know. You know, so that's sort of disheartening. Well, I've been doing this for, not quite 50 years, but more than 45. I've been doing this 40, it doesn't matter. Been doing this a long time. Anyway, I'm still totally in love with this. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be doing this. And again, I just want to say thanks for being here. Thanks for taking a weekend out of your life in order to organize your way here. Now, we go until 8:30 tonight. I just want to start easy at the beginning. 2 hours tonight. Tomorrow morning we go for 3 hours. We start at 10, so 10 to 1, and then 3 to 5, 2 hours in the afternoon, and then 3 hours again Sunday morning, which we start at 10. Sort of civilized. And I say this every workshop now, but I sort of have fun saying this. It's a 10-hour event. It's not a huge amount of time. It's a really nice amount of time. But if you're not used to doing 10 hours of yoga in such a relatively short amount of time, just pace yourself. Just, survive the weekend. You're the one that's got to live with the consequences. And if I were you, just play it easy. Just sort of have a fun weekend. Like, don't make yourself do anything you don't want to do. And it's going to be sort of easy anyway. Each year it's gotten a little easier and a little easier. And I think this year it's not going to be much easier than the last couple of years, I don't think, but it's definitely easier than it used to be. And it's at a level that I just really enjoy. I'm feeling better than ever, and My back used to always hurt before. You know what I mean? I would never cop to it before. But now I just realize the difference, you know, like, wow, just playing it easier, it's like I feel better. Which makes me think, you know, like advanced poses, they're sort of overrated. Especially if you're getting hurt or if you're hurting. Just play it easy. Just so you feel good. That's all you want. Being more flexible, fortunately or unfortunately, doesn't make you very much more enlightened. And that's really what you want to go for, is like the mental clarity. But if you're hurting yourself or hurting your knees or hurting your back or hurting your shoulder, you know, it's not smart. Just play it sort of easy. So it's going to be sort of easy. And the patterns that I'll be sharing are patterns that I think are particularly good for getting the hang of how to do free form. What we'll be doing together, I'm now calling freedom yoga. And sort of like the subset of freedom yoga is free form asana practice. Free form practice is sort of like, it's like you're learning how to channel your practice. And all your discipline training should culminate in the sense of like actually beginning to channel your yoga practice. The patterns will be easy. We'll have a free form chapter in here, and at that point, you can push it as hard as you want using the principles that we've been talking about. Okay? So pose-wise is going to be easy, but metaphysical-wise, I'm going to make it as advanced as I can make it. Again, I know there's more because I'm still learning. I feel like I'm just learning hugely. And so, yeah, advanced, as advanced metaphysically as we can get it. But the simplicity of advanced metaphysical, the simplicity of that is you're simply learning how to trust yourself. Self-trust is the advanced practice. When I got clear on that, it was just like, wow, like that sentence just became bold and italic and psychedelicized in my mind. Self-trust is the advanced practice. The advanced practice is trusting yourself. Trusting yourself is where it's at. It's what you want to get good at. If you're not trusting yourself, that's a weird place to be in. And it makes sense to trust yourself once you have insight into the fact that you had nothing to do with the fact that you exist. You didn't make you. I didn't make me. The all is being itself as you. And so as you learn to trust yourself, you're not just like trusting into pea-brain, puny you. You're learning to trust into the all, which is being you. But you and your ability to sense into the feeling of what's feeling right or not is how you start sensing into the wisdom of the all. But just sort of keep that highlighted in your mind. Self-trust is the advanced practice. Trusting yourself to do that which feels right and like bounce off of that which feels wrong. You learn to do that in the asana practice. And if you start getting the hang of that in the asana practice, you'll find yourself walking out the door, going through your life, trusting yourself about what to do, what feels right, and not do what doesn't feel right to you. And then you start to get it. Oh, wow. Yoga is about lifestyle. And again, this is one of those points, I say this every time, but it's like, this needs to be hammered in. Yoga is becoming so popular in the West, but it should be The message is that it's lifestyle. Yoga is lifestyle, not just PE class, not just therapeutic PE class. It's the way you do your thing. And it's basically about trusting yourself to do that which feels right, because you start sensing that you are the specific and unique self-expression of the all. And so you start being the place where the wisdom of the all starts flowing through into expression. All the time, or like as much as you can do it. But like all the time, it's just like, think of it like that, all the time. Lifestyle is all the time. It's how you do your thing. So self-trust. And if I repeat myself, sort of like get it, or like appreciate it, or be happy about it, or like hear it again. You're not trusting P-brain, puny you. You're trusting into the all which is being you. It just happens to be the fact that where you are is where you can sense into the feeling tone of the all. The all is bubbling up through you, and as you relax into you, you start feeling the all. Again, that's cool. And it's sort of simple and sort of like, yeah. But then, do it. Do it all the time. Trust yourself to do what's feeling right, and be willing to veer away from things when they feel wrong to you. So like yes and no have their place. But the whole time it's just about listening for what's feeling right to you. So self-trust, the advanced technique. And the trick on that essentially is learning to get into a place where you're not thinking quite so much. This is one of the hugest discoveries that I'm aware of. When you can manage to put your obsessive thinking in pause mode, you discover that, wow, you don't go unconscious like I thought would happen. You actually start going super conscious. When you can manage to put your obsessive thinking in pause mode a little bit, when you can manage to think less a little bit, and it's very similar to just like relaxing your body a little bit, and a little bit, and a little bit. Your body doesn't disappear, but the tension, the dissonance begins to disappear. When the tension and the dissonance in your physical form disappears, what's left is nice feeling. When you manage to get quiet in your mind, you don't go unconscious. Instead, you find yourself knowing stuff you didn't know you knew. Universal wisdom starts feeling like your common sense. And it's just sort of easy. Like whatever you need to know will be there to know if you just quell your thinking a little bit. That's worth $1 million. You can donate it to the Yellow Springs Yoga Center, or whatever you're called. When you can manage to put your thinking in pause mode, you don't go unconscious. Instead, new knowing begins to flow in. And then your job, your joy, what you get to do is live your life with the new knowing. And wherever you find yourself being is the place to be doing that. I used to always think that there was like a special place to meditate or a special place to listen. But wherever you are is where you're supposed to be doing it. When you're driving home, that's where you should be listening for the download. When you're going to bed at night, that's where you should be listening for the download. If you're talking on the phone, that's where you should be listening for the download. Okay, so in terms of just basic ideas, the word yoga, I'm sure you all know this, but again, it keeps coming back to the word yoga. Like get clear on this. The word yoga comes from the Sanskrit root word yoga, which means yoke. When you're involved with the yoga, you're involved with yoking, joining, connecting. And sort of the simple idea is it's about using your mind to join or yoke or connect with big mind. The analogy I like is it's like using your mind to get online. It's such a perfect analogy for now. Everyone knows how to get online. Everyone knows that when you get online, suddenly you've got access to all the information that's online. From your little computer, or wherever you happen to be, you can get online and know whatever you need to know. Yoga is about using your mind to get online. Googling whatever you need to know whenever you need to know something. And then, instead of thinking, listen a little bit longer, because when you do, the knowing will flow in. And then your joy is to give expression to what you find yourself knowing when you're not thinking quite so much. And again, the idea is to then just do that all the time. Now, the more you yoke and join like that, and you connect, and you use your mind to get online, and whenever you have a decision to make, you just sort of listen for the Google, and you do it a lot, and you do it a lot, and you do it a lot, and really, do it a lot. Like years. Do it a lot. Do it all the time. Whenever you have a decision about anything, just Google it. Don't make up your own mind anymore. Google it. It's easy. It's just as easy as trying to figure it out on your own, except it works better. Whenever you need to know something, just Google it. Pause, listen. When you listen, you'll start to hear. Often people get confused by the word hear, but you'll find yourself knowing. An inner knowing will start coming through. And then give expression to it. Okay, so that's sort of like how you yoke and give expression. Now, the more you do that and you get online like that, and you do it a lot, pretty soon you start to realize, oh, come on, I don't have to yoke and get online. Come on, I'm online. You are yoked, you are joined. You start to realize, well, you can't get offline. You can't actually get disconnected. And then the meaning of your word yoga begins to shift. It means yoke, but it also means union. And so the way I talk about it now is like the technique is yoking, Googling things and asking for guidance whenever you need to know it. But the more you do that and you yoke and you join and you connect, pretty soon you start realizing, oh wow, I am connected. There is an already existing unity. I don't actually have to join. I don't actually have to yoke. Yeah, that was helpful. Yeah, it was useful to talk about it like that. Yeah, keep talking about it like that because it'll make sense to a lot of people, and it sure did feel like I was offline before, and it sure did feel like I was learning to connect. But the more you do it, the more you realize, wow, I was connected the whole time. You don't have to yoke. Getting yoked and joining is baloney. You are connected. And then the meaning just begins to shift to whoa, I'm online. You're online. You're already online. And all you've got to do is start availing yourself of what's available. And then living your life with that knowing. And again, that's yoga. That's what we're talking about. Freedom yoga all the time, lifestyle. Therefore, the main practice in yoga is meditation. And whenever I talk about meditation, I'm referring to it as listening. When you meditate, you're just listening for the Google. You listen. And because you are connected, or put it the other way, if you're not listening, what you're doing is you're thinking and you're energizing your current level of ignorance. And when you neglect to energize your current level of ignorance and you learn to not think for moments at a time, and the bigger wisdom starts flowing through, then, yeah, you start to get it. And so the technique is listen. Meditate. There's 3 places to meditate that I talk about. The first place to meditate is the usual. And I don't think it's going to get any colder than this, if you're worried about that. I'm actually enjoying the temperature. Is everyone okay? Are you okay?
It's what it is.
It is what it is, I know. Meditation is the main technique. And if something is described as being the main technique, what that's saying is that's the main thing that will help precipitate the experience. Meditation is the main thing that will help precipitate the experience of yoga. It's the main thing that will precipitate the experience of your conscious unity with infinity. It's the main thing. And all it is listen. You're not having to establish your unity. It's about realizing, oh, I am connected. It's built in. It's the already existing fact. If I stop thinking that I'm not connected and I stop energizing my current level of ignorance and I just start playing around with this a little bit, when I listen and the new knowing flows in, you'll start getting hip to the fact that, wow, this works. And so the main technique is meditating. The first place to learn how to meditate is the usual place. Like sit down like Buddha. And if you're not already a regular meditator, then get yourself to do it. This weekend, if only, since you came here. Sit down like Buddha and just become still, relax, and just for a couple minutes. Most people have trouble meditating though. And so what I've gotten comfortable talking about is meditating in bed. Do you remember this? I think I've been talking about this for a couple of years now. But I was also shy about it before. It just seemed almost disrespectful. But it's not. It's, in fact, I'm such a bed medder now. It's such a cool thing. Advocate of bed med. And so right now I'm assigning homework, okay? Tonight, before you dive under the covers totally. And whether you do it or not is up to you, okay? But I'm just suggesting. This is what I like to do now. Last thing at night, sit up in bed, put a bunch of pillows behind your back, just lean back. I've usually got my legs sticking out in front of me, just sort of easy, one over the other, or I do easy sort of cross-legged position. Just get comfortable. You're in bed, you're about to go to sleep. You don't be all uptight about it. Get in bed, lean back, Be like at about a 45-degree angle. You know what I mean? Like just almost like a total slump asana. But comfortable. You want to be comfortable. And then just relax for a few minutes. You made it through the day. Just chill. And at the right moment, you'll know, just like dive under the covers, go to sleep. And then in the morning when you wake up, and you probably won't want to do this. I didn't want to do this. I got this. Now I love doing this. I like waking up like 30, 40 minutes before the alarm. Usually you don't have to, my lifestyle is such where I don't need the alarm very often. But if I have to get up at a certain time, I set the alarm, and I usually wake up about half an hour before the alarm. Usually I think, oh good, another half an hour. But now when I find myself waking up, just drag yourself up to a seated position, put the pillows behind your back, lean back, and just almost go right back to sleep. You won't go to sleep, probably. If you do, so what? The alarm will wake you up in a few minutes. But just sort of like drag yourself up to the seated position and just relax. You'll find yourself waking up very slowly, figuring things out. You'll be so relaxed. Waking up slowly, slowly, slowly. And there's something about sitting there being so relaxed and effortless, you start feeling subtle joy. Now, if you're sitting there doing nothing except relaxing and you start feeling subtle joy, that's a clue. You're doing nothing. And you start paying attention to the energy that constitutes you, and it starts feeling like subtle joy. It's like, whoa, whoa. And the more you pay attention to it, it becomes not so subtle. Like the feeling of joy starts becoming obviously the energy that you're made out of. That'll begin to shift your understanding about what's going on right there where you are. Again, the upshot on this is that the energy is love. You're made out of love, as it turns out. That sounds hokey at first, it sounds sentimental, it sounds hopeful. But increasingly, it's like it's the realistic stance. The energy that you're made out of is lovely. And if you give yourself a few moments to like just relax and pay attention to it, you do start feeling lovely. It's healing. And it's a great way to start the day. And it's so easy, you're likely to think it doesn't even count. Okay, so if it doesn't count, then later in the morning, sit on your zafu, do an official meditation and sit perfectly erect. And then again in the afternoon, like sit on your zafu and sit perfectly erect. And that's sort of the regime I would recommend, just sort of as a basic pattern to start living your life with. Bed med at night for an unspecified couple minutes. Bed med in the morning. You'll like it, 20, 30 minutes, but like, don't even time it. And then do an official meditation on your zafu at some point in the AM, and then do it again at some point in the PM. And with that little program, you'll be meditating 4 times a day. And you'll realize, wow, this is so easy. Like, why was I having a problem? Why was anybody having a problem meditating? And the more you do it, the more you start really, you begin to value it. So I would vote, like, start adopting that as a little program, 4 times a day. If that seems too many, then do the bed med, and at some point during the day, sit down and be more official about it. I spend most of my life at my desk. I'm working on my computer, writing and doing video, and I'm in an office chair. I can cross my legs like this, and it's got armrests, and it is extremely comfortable. Armrests are a good invention. It takes the weight out of your arms, it's not pulling down on your shoulders. And so like I'll do an email, and then just meditate for a few seconds. Do another email, meditate for a couple seconds. And if you can get yourself to like pause like that many times in a day, you'll find yourself meditating multiple times. You'll start feeling the subtle joy as a kind of a steady constant. You'll become more aware of what you're doing mentally. The more aware of what you're doing mentally, the more you can just like put it in pause mode and listen. Hear guidance. You'll feel inspired about what you then give expression to. And then you pause again. Again, it's cool. And you're doing something like all the time. You know what I mean? Like just start doing this more. Put a pause in your thinking. Put a pause in your body. Just relax. It's not hard. It's just like a new thing. Just exhale and let the tension flow out. Do it a lot. Okay? The second place to meditate is in the yoga poses. Again, meditate means listen. And as you're doing the yoga poses, it's a matter of like listening. It'll really feel like you're doing a moving meditation. And if you're doing a moving meditation, the gist of that is that it'll feel like you're channeling it. Again, you want to get to the place where it feels like you're channeling your asana practice. That's advanced, even if you're doing easy poses. If I were to say to a beginner, get into Trikonasana and channel it, they wouldn't have a clue. You got to tell them what to do. It takes a little bit of training to be able to do this. And so like, if you're a teacher, like tell people what to do. If you're a student, like learn what people are saying. Learn it, do it, train yourself, get good at the alignments, at the sequences, etc. But then increasingly, as you're doing what you've been taught, just get into the experience more. When you get into it more, you'll find that there's natural like linger moments, there's natural flow on moments, there's natural change it up moments. And so if you start with something that you know, a prescribed pattern, and you do it the way were taught, but then you keep getting into it and into it, you'll find yourself deviating. Next thing you know, your whole practice will become this one big deviation. Except you're not deviating from online listening. You're like learning to be the place where the meditation can happen. Okay? So that's clear, I think. But it does take training. The third place to meditate is just like the rest of the time. Wherever you find yourself being, just remind yourself to shut up, relax, and listen. And whoa, when you do that, new knowing flows in. New inspired feeling to do and be happens. And then you get to like live it. So it'll feel like your whole lifestyle is like you're channeling your whole life. Life gets more fun. You'll find yourself getting better at whatever you're being guided to do. It's not always going to be easy, but then when it's not so easy, you learn to like relax a little more, listen a little more, like shut up about it more, listen, get online. And then next thing you know, okay, so meditation means listening. You get the hang of it by sitting quietly. You get the hang of it by doing the asanas, chant, moving meditation. And then you do it wherever you find yourself being all day long. Equals lifestyle, equals yoga lifestyle, equals yoga online connected lifestyle. Okay, now, the way these sessions are likely to happen, chapter 1 is what's happening now. Erich talks. And if you have any questions at any point, just raise your hand. Wait until I call on you, please. I'll call on you if I see you, probably. Sort of amusing, like I often don't see somebody raising their hand. Like I'm not deliberately avoiding anybody. Just raise your hand again. Okay, just a second. Okay. Chapter 1 will be talking, and we can discuss about various things, whatever you want. There's things I want to get into, but if I were in the class, I always have a zillion questions. If you've got questions, cool. Let's get into them. Chapter 2 is we'll meditate. Like sitting like Buddha. The thing I'm into at the moment, the main technique is called conscious immobility. It's like you learn to sit there absolutely still. It's a really fun practice. It doesn't seem like it would be. But the only way to sit there absolutely still, without holding yourself still, is by relaxing, 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 relaxing. And you get to a place where you're absolutely still, without holding yourself still. There's less and less tension in your experience. And when you have an increasingly tension-free experience, then ... you set yourself up for having a clear, tension-free experience of conscious being. And again, the clue, I've given the clue, the clue is the energy is love. The energy is wisdom. Simple common sense, knowing this is the sort of stuff that'll start being your experience as you sit there in conscious immobility. You don't have to do anything fancy, just don't move. And all you gotta do is just relax. Seems easy. And then you go home and do it in bed. And again, it's hard to come up with a better homework than that. Chapter 1, talking. Chapter 2, conscious immobility practice, meditating. Chapter 3 will be the guided asana practice where the human teacher's telling you what to do. I would vote, at that point, listen to the words of the human teacher a little bit more than normal. Surrender a little bit. Let it feel like Simon Says. If Simon says put your hand like that, just play the game and put your blinking hand like that. If Simon says put your hand like that, just play the game, put it like that. Or like whatever the teacher's saying, just sort of, you go there to learn, and so like just be in learning mode. Oh, he's saying that, I don't know what, but okay. You're getting trained in technique, for one thing. And different teachers have different ideas about technique. So just like try it out. If you don't like it, then when you go home, you do it the way you like. You get trained in technique and sequencing, etc. But mostly what you're learning by surrendering to the human teaching is that you're learning to put your preferences in pause mode, which is exactly the skill you need in order to hear online knowing skillfully. You learn to put your preferences in pause mode because you want to hear God's voice in easy words. And so you learn it here, you practice it here in the poses. Simon says, but cool. Chapter 4 will be then the freeform chapter, where the human teacher will not be telling you what to do. It's funny. People don't like to be told what to do, and then they don't like it when they're not being told what to do. What am I to do? And so what I'm suggesting is during chapter 3, the guided part, listen a little bit more, just play the game a little bit more, follow the pacing a little bit more, surrender a little bit more, because if you get the hang of doing it there, then when you get to the freeform chapter, it's almost exactly the same, except instead of listening to the human person at the front of the room telling you what to do, you're listening inwardly for what to do. And you put your preferences in pause mode because you want to feel what the deepest impulse is. And again, like, it's cool. Chapter 1, talking. Chapter 2, meditating. Chapter 3, guided asana. Chapter 4, freeform asana, where I won't be telling you what to do, except listen inwardly, dare to do what's feeling right to you. If during that point you just want to lie on your back and listen to the music, then yeah, just lie on your back and listen to the music. If you want to do jumping jacks, do jumping jacks. Just don't bug anybody else is sort of like the rule. During the freeform chapter, I put on the music typically. I usually put it pretty loud. Not excessive, but loud tends to help you get quiet in your mind. Plus, I like the volume that we put it at. Not everyone likes the music I put on. It'll be over soon. After the freeform chapter, we'll then sit up and meditate again at the end. And if there's time, before we sit up again at the end and meditate, I'm going to try and get another chapter in there of lying down and doing a nice shavasana. Shavasana is a pose, the deep relaxation pose, that I think should be practiced seriously, frequently. Like, try to do shavasana every day if you can. Or like even just once a week where you lie down and you give yourself 20 or 30 minutes and just seriously, just lie on your back and get comfortable and let go, let go, let go, let go. And pay attention to the experience you're having. So I'm hoping to get a fair amount of that in this weekend. And then sitting up again at the end and meditating for a couple minutes. I think it's best to end the class sitting up rather than ending on shavasana. You'll find that you're a little more alert as you walk out of the room. Okay, do you still have a question?
Well, kind of. Then what is the importance then of meditating upright? Why can't you meditate horizontally?
Yeah, so she's asking, so what's the benefit, the difference, or the benefit, or the, why would anyone ever want to sit up and meditate? Exactly, I don't know. Except that you'll find, I don't know, I find myself, I don't always want to lie down. Like that's not always like the preferred mode. I find like, I really like being able to sit erect comfortably. In fact, most of the poses that I teach now are basically geared to just getting your body in the conditioning to where you can sit comfortably so that you're erect with your spine as straight as possible and yet able to relax. You'll find that because you're sitting up, you tend to be more alert. Usually when people lie down and they relax, it reminds them of sleep and they just kind of conk out too fast, where it's sort of hard to conk out when you're sitting up. And it's, I don't know, there's something special, something really nice about sitting erect. Like alert, but relaxed. And that takes skill. I sit like this a lot when I'm meditating. Sometimes I'll sit with both legs out. Sometimes lotus. Sometimes on a zafu. Often I'll sort of sit in this shankara position like this. I like this a lot. You should probably like have 5 or 6 different positions that you can put yourself in. You know, sitting up ones. Any other questions just right now before we? Okay, good. I hope I was clear enough just now. Yoga means yoking. It's about getting online. It's about realizing that you are online, have been online, and that all you've got to do is think less and listen more. Again, just an easy way to talk about it. Don't energize your current level of ignorance, think less, and listen more. You'll find new inspiration coming in. Again, that is such a lifesaver idea. And then meditate, sit quietly, lie quietly, do it in bed. Like short durations, longer durations. Like many times, like whenever it occurs to you. Sort of like whenever it occurs to you, like just remind yourself to do it right in that moment. If it occurs to you, do it right in that moment. Just exhale and relax. And just sort of listen. Most of the time it'll seem like nothing's happening. But just like keep hanging in there. You will find yourself becoming more intuitive. You will start feeling subtle joy. Effortlessly. Which means you don't have to change yourself in any fundamental way. Basically, all you've got to do is like experience the fundamental truth, which is that you are the all in specific self-expression. You are God in specific self-expression. You are the child or the self-expression of God, the all. And I would vote start getting comfortable with the word God. You know, I still wince when I hear other people talk about it, usually. But I don't wince so much when I use the word now. And like when I sort of crack the code on what it means for me, like God means being. It means supreme being. Not a supreme being that you'll meet after death, but supreme being, which is being everything that's being. Everything that you're aware of is the specific self-expression of the all, God, supreme being, being whatever it is. And you are the all, being you. You had nothing to do with the fact that you're here. The all is being you. You're the child of God. You're the self-expression of God. Of the all. And God is love. So I'd heard that for years, but it sort of like didn't make sense, or like it just seemed irrelevant. It cracks me up now. But it seemed irrelevant until I realized, oh wow, it's so relevant. If God, the all, is love, then therefore that is what you are. That's why you start feeling the subtle joy. If you're not feeling it, it means that you're entertaining illusory, deluded self-identity thoughts. You're believing something about yourself which isn't true. What a relief to get wind of that. Therefore, just stop thinking what you think about yourself. Shut up. Relax. Every time it occurs to you, just do that. You'll start feeling the love that is the constituting presence of you. And it won't feel egotistical. You know, like you start feeling good inside, and at first I started feeling like, I'm not supposed to feel good. No, you're supposed to feel good. And if you're not, that's feedback. It's not an indictment, but it's feedback. It's a clue that you should relax. Moments at a time, but many, 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 many moments. And then just listen for guidance more. Because you will then be guided about how to do and be.